Roll call, Dick.
Mayor Cochran,
Here.
Commissioner Meady, Commissioner Perry,
Here.
Commissioner Pettigrew,
Here.
Commissioner Val, City Manager Craig,
Here.
City Attorney Ivy,
Here.
City Recorder Beals here.
First item is the approval of the minutes as they've been provided to us in the package. Got a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Perry, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pettigrew. Any discussion? All those in favor let it know by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Review of April disbursements. Do I have a motion to approve April disbursements?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Pettigrew. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Perry. Any discussion? All those in favor let it know by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Year-to-date budget review.
There's nothing that really stands out from the ordinary. The same funds that we mentioned before, the water and sewer, are still maintaining their loss at this time. Also want to mention that we're coming near the end of our audit process, and hopefully by next month we'll have an audit report for the commission.
Do I have a motion to approve the year-to-date budget review?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Perry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Pettigrew. Any discussion? All those in favor let me know by saying aye. Aye. Approval of department reports. Do I have a motion to approve department reports?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Pettigrew. Do I have a second? I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor let me know by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Questions, comments from the citizens? Mr. Campbell. We have y'all on the agenda, Jeff, if y'all want to wait till, or if you had something else you'd like to say.
No, sir. I'll just, on the new business portion will be fine.
Okay. Because I got a feeling it would be repetitious. Andy Reynolds. Is that the
That's part
same
of the
thing? Mr. Farmer.
All right.
Move on to old business. There's no old business, so we'll move on to the new business. See, that didn't take long.
You are quick. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to be here tonight. I'm here to propose what I think is an exciting potential project for the citizens of the city of South Fulton. Mr. Johnny Lucy could not be here with me tonight. He had some issues that came up at work, and so he couldn't be here. This really has been Johnny Lucy's long-term dream to someday be able to afford to build a park for the citizens of South Fulton in the downtown area. And in fact, Mr. Lucy slowly over the years has been acquiring some parcels in hopes of one day to be able to use it for that very purpose. He and I came together and created a pretty good team. And so we're here tonight to talk to you about a potential park proposal. Wanting this to be a real first-class park that any city would be proud of, I have gone out on my own and partnered with an architectural and engineering firm out of Memphis. I have two of their certified architects with me tonight. The firm is referred to as A2H, which is short for Askew, Harcourt, and Hargrave. They're a world-class engineering and architectural services firm who've done many large and small-scale projects, and specifically throughout West Tennessee, up and down the US 51 corridor, etc. Parks being one of their sweet spots in which they have done a lot of work. And so, while we talked about a park in the past, and I know Commissioner Val at one point, when he was city manager, had looked into a Tennessee Parks grant, the stumbling block had always been the local match piece. With South Fulton, like a lot of small communities, simply not having the funds to spend on something like that. So I'm stepping forward tonight as a private citizen to tell you that I will provide personally the local match piece for a Tennessee Parks grant for a specific park project for South Fulton. So with that, what I'd like to do is turn the concept proposal discussion over to A2H to sort of walk you guys quickly through that, and then I'd like to come back and make just a few closing comments. So with us tonight is Mr. Andy Reynolds, also Marissa Nowlin. Both are certified architects with A2H. So guys, I'll let you take it from here.
Hello, I'm Andy Reynolds. I am a registered landscape architect with A2H, and I believe Jeff and Mr. Lucy have a fine vision for this downtown area in green space, and we have done many park projects with this grant that is a Tennessee state grant called the Local Parks and Recreation Fund, better known as LPRF. The grant is a 50-50 grant, which means that 50% of the construction cost is granted by the state, and the other half is by local match. And as Jeff has stated, he's going to make that possible by providing that grant match. Also interesting about the grant is the fact that it is the value of donated land can be applied to the match. So there is a great advantage to participants donating the land. In your package is a parcel map and key. There are, I think for our phase 1, 31 parcels. And if you look on what's actually labeled as page 3, it's the next page in the package, you can see the names of the owners of those parcels, and they're color-coded, so you can see at this point who in the project area is in support of the project, who in the area is still to be determined, and there are some parcels in there that we know are not going to participate for whatever reason. But what you're looking at in the blue area right now is everybody in that area is in support of the project,
Well, no, that's,
Well, I believe
with the exception of
the
water.
diagram here's got it color coded. If you have the same one I'm looking at.
Yeah, there's just a few in there. V is still not determined, which is Mirror. Dickerson, which is the lower left. So I guess
There's a couple of them.
there's a couple in there that aren't.
As of tonight, 2 more have agreed to donate. As of tonight, there are 4 parcels outstanding.
But generally, the area we're talking about is bounded on the north by State Line Road, on the east by Broadway, on the west by Harris Fork Creek, and Wade Street on the south. Also in the package are some photographs of various park elements, gateway signage, pavilions and gazebos, various types of play structures, amphitheaters, pedestrian trails, and water features. And these are all elements that we believe will work in this 4-acre area. Now, these are just images from other parks. We don't know that we're very early in the planning stages, so we don't know if they're going to be anything like these exactly. But these are some of the elements that we believe could be in here. The maximum amount for a project with this grant is $500,000. So we are aiming somewhere a little bit less than that, simply because we know that some of the donated property will apply to the match, but generally we'll be at least $250,000, which can get us some pretty nice elements in this park. To give you an idea of the timeline of this grant, they're due at the end of June, the applications. The grant cycle, there will be a few months where the applications are reviewed. So it will probably be in the fall before we hear whether or not it's awarded. more than likely, even if it's not awarded, it'll go onto a list and could be awarded at a future time with the next funding cycle. If it is awarded in the fall, then we will probably have a first round of settling the paperwork and the parcels. Probably do a lot of surveying during that time, and then get heavily into the design of the project. And then hopefully we'll be bidding the project in spring, possibly construction in the summer.
Well, one good thing, it's fairly cleaned up. Most of the
Yes,
structures
it is.
are gone, so.
Yeah, a lot of potential there.
Well,
Easy, clean
first,
slate.
Yes.
Sure.
In applying for this grant, that it has any specification where the land is in flooded area, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, we'd be under the same stipulation as any project in that type of flood area.
The reason I asked that, once we was intend to apply for a grant for recreation and facilities, but that was specification that it couldn't be in a flood area, you know.
I wonder why. Not sure why. That would not be the case here.
Okay.
As long as it's not an inhabitable building. Like, we couldn't put a community center there, but if it's just green park property, it should be fine.
Of course, all this area we're talking about is in a federal floodplain, and
Right. Well, actually, usually a park is the best use for such an area.
exactly.
Because it can withstand occasional flooding. One thing about the grant, it does stipulate that if the grant is used to fund this land to develop it as a park, it has to remain a park forever. So that's one thing everybody needs to understand about it. But
Of course,
more than likely,
Again, that gets back to the floodplain.
Right, you can't
deal.
do much else
I don't
with it,
think
so-
we're going to do a whole lot else with it,
Right.
personally.
Right. I left anything out about the grant process?
I don't think so, just that we would need the city's support to.
Oh, that's right. Well, the whole
Submit the
purpose of this
application.
meeting is that for the grant, that's a very important point, is that the applicant for the grant has to be either a city or a county government. So Jeff can't just do this on his own, even if he bought all the property himself. So we need the city's support, and we need a resolution and commitment that the city's going to be in support of it. And part of our application will be the minutes from this meeting and any subsequent public input. In fact, I have my cards with me, and I'll leave a stack of them here. And anybody that would like to comment and send me an email, we'll make sure that we respond to it and that it becomes part of the grant application.
So the deadline for the grant application is June 29th.
June 29th.
Let me just join Andy and make some closing comments. One point of clarification is part of A2H Services, they have grant writers that will actually write this grant. So the time required for Deborah Craig, the city manager, will be minimal, other than she'll have to provide specific data to South Fulton for the grant application process. So really, the city is the originator of the grant in name only. Most of the work will be done by A2H. For closing comments, I give this $250,000 gift to the city of South Fulton, should you vote to approve to go forward freely with 4 conditions. And I think it's important for you to understand my mindset and what those conditions are. The first is, of course, as Andy's already said, you have to approve to support the park project and to go forward with the grant application process. If you feel so moved to vote tonight, that's fine. If you gentlemen want time to think about it, discuss it, and then a vote at a later meeting, that's fine as well. Secondly, if we move forward into the construction phase and we receive the grant, surely, be it an old commercial and residential area, we start moving dirt, we're probably going to run into some old city sewer lines, perhaps some old water lines. So we need the City of South Fulton Public Works Department to provide in-kind services to cap off any of those things that we find.
I can help you with that one, Jeff, because during our grant situation with our sewer, I'm not sure if Wes is totally familiar with that, because he's only been with us for about a year. But last year, when they worked on that, they rerouted some of the new sewer from those buildings that were there. So
Good.
that might not be as big an issue as we think it would be.
Awesome. The third condition is I'll provide the funding only if the park is constructed in these parcels. I'm not interested in funding a park out by the middle school, the high school, or anywhere else. I want it to be in downtown South Fulton, in that neighborhood. And the primary reason is you see that area from wherever you come into South Fulton, you see that area. Secondly, as you gentlemen know, when we do have the not frequent but very large community Twin Cities events, we certainly could use more acreage, and it would just provide a spectacular view of downtown. And that area of town needs children, playground equipment, and stuff more than some other areas of town. And then the fourth and final is, since I'm putting up a significant sum of money, I want to have the final approval of the concept design. I welcome input from all city members, all community citizens as well. But in terms of final sign-off, I would like to reserve that right. Other than those four conditions, if you should vote to go forward, if I were sitting in your shoes, I'd say, well, that's all well and good, but what if something, God forbid, happens to Jeff Campbell, and here we are moving dirt? And so I have talked to my attorney, and we have a document that will be prepared that will assure an endowment of those funds should I get run over by a Mack truck or whatever. Any questions for myself or A2H?
I don't have any concerns with it, and I don't have a problem with all your conditions, me personally, other than the fact that half of this is going to be grant money, and with you being a private citizen, I don't know how that works. I don't know the legalities on it. By us saying, okay, we'll do it, but you have all the say in it, and we don't, and it's here in the city.
Have you run into this before? I don't know if I write checks to the city and then you write the check to them, or if I can write checks to the
I
state.
think what we end up doing is setting up a private, a separate savings account or a similar type account at the bank, where only that money would be put into it.
Yeah.
And then what you would do is you'd make a
I'm not sure
donation.
if y'all are understanding my question.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing or anything, but since we are getting either state or federal funds, and you're a private citizen, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's...
Yeah, it is a reimbursement grant. So what will happen is, as the construction continues, and as invoices come in for the design and construction of the park, there'll have to be, the city will have to have money set up to pay for that. And then that is sent into the state, and then the state reimburses it. So there does have to be some upfront cash flow, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is
It's not even
being
something-
able to actually sign off on it, and,
That's right. The city is ultimately responsible
Right,
for
that's what I
for payment. So you would have to have so Jeff would have to pay the city would have to pay the contractor, then the state would pay the city.
I'm not sure if I'm clear on my question about this. Is his money and the grant money, and receiving the grant money, is it going to affect that in a way that we have not the final say is what I'm saying on it?
Oh.
Not that I'm even disagreeing with it. I don't have a problem with it. But as far as you getting a grant, applying for a grant, and we're saying we're using this for the city of South Fulton, but we're giving him the authority to have the final say on it when we don't have a say on it as the elected board here.
Well, let me see if I can understand this and clear something up. If we said to the state, we want this grant, and they say, we'll give it to you, but for some reason we can't come up with our matching funds, then they're going to not match it.
That's right.
Okay? So it won't get completed. So let's say we only came up with $50,000 worth of matching funds, and we've expended $50,000. They're only going to give us back $50,000 to match it.
I apologize, Carl.
I think that's
I'm not
right.
sure. No, I'm just asking.
It's not a big point with me, David.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
I just don't want to, after we apply for it, and then we get into
You're
some
asking
kind
if the state's going to have a problem with him
Exactly.
having the final say and not the
as a
municipality.
private citizen having the final say over with not his money, but the money that we're getting from them.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a problem with it, but I just don't want to. These
There will
grants
be
can be.
there will be a process where the state will have to review the construction drawings before it's allowed to go to construction. This is not an unusual situation. This is the way.
That may have answered my question.
I mean, in the end, the state actually has
Yeah.
the final say. I mean, if you really want to get down to, because they're the ones that are
I
going to
hope
be
you
putting up the
understand,
funding.
I'm not questioning you.
Oh, no,
You know how
that's
these
a
grants
good
are.
question.
They are lined up, and you have to go exactly the way they
That's
say.
right.
Right.
That's right.
Well, and that brings up, I probably shouldn't bring it up in this meeting. This is a detail that you can handle later. But, for example, this grant application, as I was reviewing it, it does require that you have a parks director. Well, it doesn't mean you have to go out and hire somebody full-time, but it means that somebody's title in the city's going to have to include parks director.
And that was my next question. Once this great gift you want to give, and we do appreciate it, but the property becomes the city's.
That's
correct?
right.
And future upkeep on it, the city has
That's
to maintain.
right. That's exactly right. Now, right now, given the proposed timeline, that budget concern will come in 2014. I will tell you this. Initially, you're talking about incremental mowing costs. You're doing some mowing down there now. You would mow more often as a park. That's pretty much it. Now, years down the path, I will tell you that, and talking with A2H, all the construction down there, whether it be playground equipment or bandstands or signage or whatever, is either metal, polyresins, things that don't rot, don't warp, don't need painting, designed for very low maintenance. So it would be years out before any significant repair expenditures would have to be made by the city. Any other questions for us? Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I don't have a problem with going ahead with it tonight. After it's explained, I'm sure it's going to take a little bit of work here to go ahead and start on the grant application, so I think we can move on.
Well, do we need to have what do we need to do about a parks director?
I think we can do that once we apply for it, yeah. Okay, can I have or I'll make the motion. I'll make a motion that we proceed with the grant application. Give Deborah the authority to proceed with the grant application with the help of the architecture firm Mr. Campbell's brought today.
Second.
Second by Mr. Moody. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Carter?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the first reading of ordinance to call an election.
This is ordinance 2012-3, an ordinance to call an election to elect city commissioners and mayor. Be ordained that in accordance with Chapter 20 of the City Code of the City of South Fulton, Tennessee, that an election be called and the said election be held on Tuesday, 6th day of November of 2012 for the election of 2 city commissioners for a term of 4 years from districts 1 and 4, and a mayor at large for a term of 4 years. The Vine County Election Commission is requested to regulate, provide, and supervise said election, and such request be made by letter signed by the city recorder. Attached a copy of this ordinance.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2010-3?
2012-3.
You're right, mine. Right there. Motion to adopt ordinance 2012-3.
So be it.
Motion by Mr. Moody. Do I have a second?
Second.
First reading.
The first reading, great. Second by Mr. Perry. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it know by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. The next item is a resolution.
Debbie, you know what number that was?
2012-2.
-2, okay. This is a resolution directing that agricultural property zoned residential retain agricultural uses. Let me explain the background on this before I read it. We have an ordinance, of course, that says you have to mow your lawn if the grass in the lawn gets more than 12 inches in height. You can be cited into city court with violation. We have several places around town where we have open fields that have always been agricultural use, They have been brought into the residential zoning areas because that's what they're next to. But they've never been used for residential purposes. Likewise, we have some industrial property. You can think out there in the industrial park where there's big areas that have always been used as agriculture, but yet they're zoned industrial. And so to cut down any confusion within the public and within our own administration as to where we intend to cite people into court for violating the failing to mow their lawn ordinances, we have to have this resolution to lay out what the city policy is on that. And I'll read that, and once I read it, I think it's self-explanatory. It says, whereas the city of South Fulton in several areas where property that was agricultural has been zoned residential or industrial, either as a primary use or as an allowed use of that property, and whereas there's confusion over how such property should be treated, accordingly it's hereby resolved that any property in the city of South Fulton that has historically been used for agriculture as its primary use, and which property has been zoned residential or industrial, shall retain its agricultural uses unless they are abandoned for more than 1 year. Such properties will not be required to maintain appearance standards required of residential or industrial property. Agricultural equipment may be kept on such properties, but they will not be allowed to become storage areas for any other items or equipment not needed in agriculture. Other restrictions that apply to residential properties concerning animals will not apply if the agricultural use does not create a nuisance to neighboring residential properties. For example, we have a thing that says you can't have more than 6 pets at your house, I believe. So we don't have like dog breeders in the residential neighborhoods. But if a farmer has been farming a place for agricultural uses and he wants to change it from one agricultural use to another agricultural use, it probably would be applied. So if he wanted to bring horses in there, he could probably bring them in. But it could be a nuisance if the smell caused a problem for the neighborhood. So that's what that says is, yes, you can do this, but it can't cause a nuisance to the neighbors. Okay, I hope that explains what that's all about.
Run that by me again.
Okay. And I'm not sure what you don't understand, but we have an ordinance that says you got to mow your lawns, and if you don't mow them, okay, we're going to cite you. Well, that ordinance applies to all properties around town, although it wasn't really intended to apply to industrial or agricultural properties. So this resolution clears that up. The ordinance is actually silent. It doesn't say one way or the other, whether it would apply in residential only or whether it applies to everything. So we wanted to clear that up, and that's what this does.
So where is this going to take place at? Who wanted this?
Well, there's several places. Down here on Harris Road,
Is that what they're going to put in there?
there's a big field there.
That's the reason.
Yeah, there's a big field there.
They haven't put anything in there in years, I thought.
Right,
this was
right.
saying. They can go back and do it if they want to now.
Well, I don't know that they would ever use it, but if they want to use it, as long as they...
Well, they clearing it off for a purpose. They clearing it off for a purpose.
Oh, yeah, he's going.
No, you're talking about the other side of the street.
He's talking about the area along Collingwood.
Along Collingwood.
Oh, you're in college.
That little square, they let it grow and they cut it for hay.
Right.
Okay.
And there's several other places like that around.
12 inches, you wouldn't get much hay off of it.
Well, I
Right.
understand.
There's several other places like that around, too.
Okay, all right.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2012-02? I'll make the motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Perry. Is there any discussion? I think that's what they're basically doing. Is that there's several properties around town, but they're letting them grow up a little bit higher than cutting them for hay. And down here where the trailer park used to be, he's cleared all that out and he's going to plant a crop there.
So that'd be good proof.
All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
On our agenda, no.
Report from the city manager.
Just a couple things to add. Along the same lines as we talked about the property code violations, they are definitely increasing throughout the city. And we will have a special court tomorrow morning at 9 just to address property code violations. We have had several people respond and go ahead and cut their grass, but we have several who are not adhering to the code. So we're going to show them that we're serious about this. And so tomorrow will be the special court just for property code violations. And I would encourage anyone who thinks that we're bluffing to try us. That's all I have.
Y'all can enforce it.
Did you tell them about the tickets for the chamber?
Yes, Chamber of Commerce banquet is scheduled for the 24th, May 24th, and I don't have a cost here, but anyone interested, go. I'm sorry.
The 25 for if they have a guest, if you all want, just need to let me know.
Right, just let me know, and we'll make arrangements for you to get there.
That's all you got?
I think that's all.
I got one thing. I just want to say congratulations to the South Fulton High School softball team. They won the regional tournament, and they host the first round, or the sub-state round, here tomorrow at noon. For making it to sub-state.
Great.
And we will, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, the budget meeting will be scheduled, and we'll let you know whenever we get the full commission.
That's what I was going to say. Do I get anything else?
I got one thing, it's off the record though. Okay, that's good. We got a dog ordinance, right? About the pit bulls and all this. A lot of people are walking these dogs, you know, just walking them out there, some cheering or walking them. But I'd like to, when we ever meet again, put in that ordinance that you can't walk a dog without having a muzzle on it. 'Cause some of those dogs are very big and the kids can't hold them if they want to attack you. Okay,
It should already be in the ordinance.
I don't think we have a muzzle on them.
Yeah, we do. If it is a big walking pit bull, a German shepherd, or I think a Doberman pinscher, you're supposed to have a musk on it. I can check into it, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, you check
Ordinance
into that,
already is on
we
there.
need that. Okay.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Perry.